So in this episode, the tray's going to get a fair bit of work done to it. Now I've got some steel here to make a new headboard up, lift the tray up about 40mm and make some new mounts, and hopefully we'll get time to make a new back end for it. So we're going to be making up something like this in this episode. Now this is a half finished tray mount and it's designed to weld onto the tray. It's going to have a big brace coming diagonal along there, and this is going to raise the tray up about 40mm and make it a lot stronger than the old mounts. We also have this 3-inch pipe that we're going to make the headboard out of. So I've got all my marks. That's the bend line, and this one here I stuffed up there, but that one there is the cut line to cut it off with the new plasma cutter. Just go along there on the straight edge, that'll cut that off, and then we can bend it up and put the supports in later. So now I've tried before I've started this video to bend this 6mm plate. Unless you've got a really good oxy or a bender, you're going to struggle. So what I am going to do is put a score mark through there about 3/4 of the way through the metal, fold it in and around itself. As you can see there, it's sort of opened itself up nice on the inside, but the part you're not going to see, we'll put a big weld along. It'll make it just as strong, especially with the big braces down there. Won't jeopardize it too much. Of course a nice bend would have been nicer, but this is the only way I can really do it. So score mark along there and then hit it round. So as you can see, that score mark, you know, it's about 3/4 of the way through, and I've already started to bend it. But if we put in the vise there and just put it there, we can just get it on 90, which that is pretty much bang on, and then just put a few tacks along there and weld it up. But what I've done here is, this is 190mm long as the drawings, and it's going to be cut on that triangle like that, so that piece will pretty much sit in there, and I get 2 pieces out of one, so I save a fair bit of material, and yeah, that's going to be the plates that go down the side. So before I put these corner braces on, I'm going to drill the hole that mounts it to the chassis. So I've finished all the mounts now. I've got 4 back and 2 front, and I tested them last night and I think the tray was just a little bit too high. So this morning I've come and cut 10mm off the top, so it drops the tray just a little bit, with still room for the tyres and enough to fit stuff under there. So I can't really do much on the tray outside because it's got a bit of rain about, but I'm going to start mocking up the headboard. Now I've only got the outside at the moment. I don't have any of the inside pieces. I've got a few ideas there, but I'm going to bevel the edges of this pipe and weld all the corners on and hopefully get the headboard welded up. So I've got it all set up here. I've got the right angle up the top. I've got a hacksaw blade through the centre to give a bit of a gap, and I'm just going to weld here, do a tack on each side, and then check for the square and do the same to the other short one, and then weld the big one in the centre. reason I cut the end bits of the tray off down here where it used to mount is because I've got the new tray mount and that has to go over that. So I'm going to grind all this back, clean it up, and then I'm not going to weld it on until it's on the car, so I know where it all goes. But other than that, we have to cut a big circle out of here, both sides, for the new headboard to go in. So that new plasma cutter came in handy for cutting this rust out of the tray. You just go along, take the welds off from underneath, chisel it all up, and comes off pretty easy. But now I'm going to clean all the edges up and then measure out a new piece of checker plate to go on. So I've stuffed up a bit and I've made the hole a little bit too big for the piece of metal I had. So I've put a piece in there, I've tacked in the big piece, but now I have to make a piece to fill this gap, which is going to be a bit fiddly, but it'll be right. So here we are, skip forward a bit. I've got everything welded in. It's all level with the rest of it, so if you put a box or something on top it doesn't rock over it. Got holes there for the headboard there, not perfect but they'll do. I've got the back of the cab wrapped up, and we're going to lift this thing back on and put the front tray mounts on and then mock the headboard up later on. So I totally forgot to film all this, but the tray's now on. That was a bit dodgy, it was wobbling around a bit. The headboard's cut down to size. I think I cut 120mm off the bottom, both sides, and that brings it down to have it about 30mm above the roof. Like the top of the tube is about 30mm above the roof. I had some issues with the front tray mounts, had to modify those a bit. They weren't quite right, but now they're on, just got to tack those up. So now the tray's off the car again, because I now have to finish off the rest of the headboard and weld on the rest of the tray mounts. Now it's a bit windy out, so I'm having to stand in front of the camera, but that's the headboard design. Now it's pretty much copied off someone else, but the bottom bit's going to be a bit different. So this C-channel here, I'm going to plasma cut out, and my mate Josh has come up with the idea of getting this RHS and putting it in here. So that gets away some issues that I'll show you later. But that's going to get cut out, that's going to get put in, and this is also about 10 litres inside worth. So if you wanted, you can make a water tank, or even put an air fitting on it and have a little air tank in the headboard. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do now, is just plasma cut that out, probably to about there, and then I can work from there. So straight along there, get rid of that, and then start moulding this piece in. So what I've done here with this 75 by 75 is cut a radius in the end where the tube is going to sit, so it sits sort of in there. I'll chuck it in and show you. So it sits nice and firmly in here. I still might have to take a bit off there, but it sits in there quite nice. And then I'm going to have a piece of bent up checker plate that goes up to about there, and then supports, and then tubes to the centre. So I've skipped ahead again. That piece I just cut was these two pieces of RHS uprights. They go through the checker plate back here, well down onto the base, notched out for the tube. They look quite nice there. And then I've got some, I think this is 40mm. Yeah, it's about 45 outside diameter. I'm going to cut that up, and that's going to go through the centre pieces there. So that's what I got so far. All three of them in. They're square, but that distance is bigger than those two, and then that distance is the same as that one. So I've got to figure out what I've done wrong there. They're just tacked in for the moment, so I'm going to get that side perfect, and then get that side, and then I can put ones through the centre. So this is probably all I'm going to do for tonight. I may just fix up the measurements on that over there, but this is about all for today. I'm pretty happy with how it's come along actually. done quite a fair bit. So it's the next night, and I finished the headboard. So it is all tacked up, it's not fully welded, but this is pretty much all it's going to be for now. It needs to go on the car, make sure it's all right, and then when it comes off the car again, I'm going to fully weld it all up. I'll put some photos up once it gets a bit light out tomorrow. You can barely see it, but everything's in. There's going to be some light mounts on it, but that's pretty much all for this episode.